Good morning, everybody. I had so much fun the other day doing the Lone Ranger thing I did that I've decided I'm going to do another one. We will get back to music, of course. But for now, I'm kind of on a Lone Ranger kick. This is not a half an hour one like the other one was. This is 8 minutes, so that's better. It's a whole album of stories, and whether I probably won't do them all, but we're going to do some of them. But I did want to read. I asked myself, well, where did the Lone Ranger? How did he become the Lone Ranger? And I remember seeing it years ago in one of the episodes. So I looked it up, and in Wikipedia, it gives the origin of the Lone Ranger. So I'm going to read it, so we all kind of get a grip of what's going on here. And just because it's nice to know, information always helps figure out what actually is going on and who's who and what's what. So here we are. While details differ, the basic story of the Lone Ranger's origin is consistent in most versions of the franchise. The Lone Ranger is the sole survivor of a group of 6 ambushed Texas Rangers, a posse of 6 members of the Texas Ranger Division led by Captain Dan Reed. And I've seen that name a couple of times in some of these stories. So Dan Reed, whoever he may be, maybe the Lone Ranger is Dan Reed. I don't know. Let's check it out. Let's see. They're led by Captain Dan Reed, pursue a band of outlaws led by Bartholomew Butch Cavendish, the Cavendish Gang. We all know the Cavendish Gang, but are betrayed by a civilian guide who was secretly working with Cavendish and who led the unsuspecting Rangers into an ambush at a canyon known as Bryant's Gap. Later, a Native American named Tonto stumbles onto the grisly scene. He discovers one of the Rangers, Captain Reed's younger brother John. Oh, there you go. John Reed, his name is then, barely alive, and he nurses the man to health. In some versions, Tonto recognizes the lone survivor as the man who had saved his life when they both were children. Oh, the plot thickens. According to the television series, Tonto gave Reed a ring and the name Kimosabi. Oh, and you can look up Kimosabi, which I'll do. Oh, here it is. Is the term used by fictional Native American sidekick Tonto as the Native American name for the Lone Ranger in the American Lone Ranger radio program and television show, derived from Gimuzabi and Ojibwe and Potawatomi word that may mean he, she looks out in, oh dear, it doesn't go any further than that. He or she looks out in secret. Looks out in secret, the mask. It has been occasionally translated as trusty scout or faithful friend. Okay, I hope this is going to take me back to where I want to be. Yes, it does. Trusty friend. John Reed then tells Tonto that he intends to hunt down Cavendish and his men and bring them to justice. To conceal his identity and honor his fallen brother, Reed fashions a... I've seen that. I did not know his name was John Reed. He fashions a black domino mask. Domino mask? What does that mean? Small, often round mask covered. Okay. Using cloth from his late brother's vest. See, I'm kind of remember seeing this in one of the episodes. To aid in the deception, Tonto digs a 6th grave. I'm remembering this now. And places at its head a cross bearing John Reed's name so that Cavendish and his gang will believe that all the Rangers had been killed. In many versions, Reed continues fighting for justice as the Lone Ranger even after the Cavendish gang is captured. So there you have it. Cool. We all learned a little something about the Lone Ranger and Tonto. Cool. Tonto thinking on his feet. We'll put an extra grave up there. And they'll think you're dead, but you're not. Anyway, so let's get on with this this episode. This is like 8 minutes long. And it's called He Meets the Warhorse. So let's check it out. And read the cover here. The cover is kind of cool. And you're going to have to put up with the music. I tried to skip ahead so you didn't have to listen to all the music. But it won't let you do it. Sorry. All this. I tried to skip right up to the story, but wouldn't let me. Hi-yo, Silver. Big fella.
A fiery horse with the speed of light, a cloud of dust, and hearty Hi-yo Silver, the Lone Ranger.
Are you checking out the cover? What do we do now, old friend? What do you mean, we, paleface? I was surprised to see that cover.
This is the adventure of the Lone Ranger and the War Horse.
Okay, what's the war horse? That is the question. I'm an old war horse.
Jeff Grundy sat in the hot sun on the doorstep of a small ranch house. His shoulders were slumped and his head was bowed and resting on his cupped hands. He heard horses approaching on the dusty road, but he didn't look up until a man's voice called. Two men were dismounting. One was an Indian, the other wore a mask.
Get my gun, Martha.
Grundy was startled. Then he laughed bitterly.
If this is a robbery, mister, you've come to the wrong place. I'm cleaned out.
We're not robbers. We want nothing but water for our horses.
Oh, well, help yourself. The trough's right over there.
We need horses there, Kimasabi.
Thanks, Tonto.
Thank you, Tonto.
Are you Jeb Grundy?
The way this guy talks.
How'd you know?
Captain Carter told me about you.
Captain Carter, tell me about you.
I was a bugler in his company.
Yes, he told me. He said you'd left the army and bought this ranch.
If you're Captain Carter's friend, you're no outlaw in spite of that mask. Who are you?
The captain knows me as the Lone Ranger.
The Lone Ranger? Doggone if I had been thinking straight, I'd have known it was you when you called your partner Tonto and your horse Silver. I've heard a
And you
lot
went
about
big
you.
fella.
You said you'd been cleaned out.
Yes, I owed money on this place, so today the sheriff held an auction sale. I'm out of debt, but everything's gone, including solitaire. I have 4 weeks to vacate the property.
Who's Solitaire?
Solitaire.
Oh.
My horse. He carried me through many a hard battle.
Solitaire.
When he was going to be shot, I persuaded the colonel to let me have him.
Again with the
I was
colonels.
being mustered
Is this
out.
the same colonel?
Had the horse grown too old?
No, he was right in his prime when he fell and hurt his leg. He had a bad limp, and the army decided to get rid of him. He doesn't limp anymore.
Was it
but his
Colonel
leg is
Wade?
weak, so I kept it bandaged.
Who wanted to shoot him like he shot the mule? Or was trying to anyway?
The horse had been bought by 12-year-old Billy Winters, who
In the
lived
last
Clarksville,
episode?
about 15 miles away. Billy's widowed mother was in the kitchen at supper time when she looked through the window and saw Billy returning from the auction with a big black horse.
Billy, where did you get that horse?
At the auction.
But Billy, you had no money to buy a horse.
I had $10 I'd saved, so I bid $10. No one else would bid because Solitaire
$10.
once had a bad leg. But he's
In
fine
those
now.
days.
Aren't you, Solitaire? We're going to win a lot of money, Mom. Enough so you'll be able to start the restaurant you've always talked about.
Billy, dear.
I mean it, Mom.
I don't even
I'm
know how to
right,
cook,
Solitaire.
Billy.
Big Frontier Day
What
race.
am I going to do with a restaurant?
Early the following morning, Billy went with Solitaire to a level, grassy plain. As he rode back and forth to exercise and strengthen
I
his
thought he was
horse,
kind of
he
lame,
was
this
watched
horse.
by the Lone Ranger and Tonto, who had camped at the edge of a woods that bordered the plain.
Last night in town, me hear Billy plan to enter a race.
The Frontier Day race is
You
a
did.
long one, Tonto. Strength and courage count for more than speed. If you can strengthen his leg, and if Solitaire puts his heart into
once
that
some
race,
legs are
he might
broken.
be the last to finish. We could teach Billy how to
I've
ride
seen
the
that
race.
firsthand.
Jeb Grundy
It's no
fight.
fun.
Here's a look.
Where you go, Kimasabi?
I'm going to ask
Where?
Jeb to help
Where you
Solitaire
go,
win that
Kimasabi?
race. Easy, steady, big fella.
Huh.
Come on, there.
Come on. Doo-dah, doo-dah, Camptown races sing us all doo-dah day.
As Frontier Day drew near, Clarksville was crowded with visitors. Most of the talk dealt with the big race. There was considerable laughter over the hopes of Billy Winters with
What?
his $10 war
Is
horse.
he kidding?
That critter will still be running the next day, trying to finish the race.
Wah, 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 Billy.
They're laughing, Mom, but I don't care. Solitaire may not look as slick as the others, but he'll show 'em.
That's right.
Billy, such faith as yours should be rewarded, but
Yeah, but I don't know how to
hope you'll
cook.
not be too disappointed.
No one knew that Billy and Solitaire went to the grassy plain each day at dawn, where they were met by the Lone Ranger, Tonto, and Jeb.
Why am I remembering this
Daily, the
horse
three
was
men taught the
lame?
boy fine points of strategy and gave careful attention to the training of the horse, while Tonto rubbed and massaged the muscles in the leg that had been injured.
Oh,
Now,
you
Billy,
see,
go
yeah,
ahead.
right, he is.
Right to that
Maybe he
post
didn't
and
break
turn
nothing.
back.
Come on, Solitaire.
Solitaire.
It
Are
was
you
the
any
day of the
relation
big
to
race.
Gunpowder?
Billy and Solitaire were in the center of a long row of horses and riders. The boy's mother was in the crowd to watch the start. Billy saw nothing of his masked friend, Tonto or Jeb Grundy. The starter raised his gun.
Whoops. Shot your horse. Sorry. And bubblegum's coming up the rail.
Solitaire was running about halfway between the first horse and the last.
Come on, Solitaire.
There were 9 horses ahead when Billy rounded the halfway mark and started back. The course lay across the grassy plain, close to the woods where the Lone Ranger and his friends had camped.
Come on, Solitaire. Come on, boy. Come on.
The great-hearted horse tried to give more. He passed 2 horses, but there were 7 still in front, and the leg that had been injured was beginning to hurt.
Hurt. Yeah, you break this the horse's leg and
Horses were thundering past the woods. And
Forget
then a big
about
white
it.
stallion dashed from the trees with 2 men riding. It was Silver. The Lone Ranger was in the saddle, and behind the saddle rode a soldier. It was Jeb in his old uniform.
so what are they gonna do?
As Silver raced abreast, not far from Solitaire, Jeb Grundy raised his bugle. He sounded charge.
Oh, come on.
Solitaire heard the bugle. It was the old familiar call to action. It was his beloved master back in battle. Solitaire forgot his leg. He found new strength for a great surge of speed. He passed 2
Like as if that's
then a
legal.
third.
Come on, Solitaire.
The war horse passed the Barquet favorite, then came neck and neck with a red horse and a gray, battling for the lead at the edge of town. Buildings flashed past. Billy saw the finish line. His friends, his mother.
Come on, Solitaire.
Billy fell off the horse
Final spurt of
and was
speed carried
killed.
Solitaire ahead. Big Solitaire had won.
Of course he did. You knew he would.
That evening, Jeb Grundy had supper with Billy and his mother. After the meal, the soldier said,
With cooking like that, your restaurant will sure be a success, Mrs.
But
Whitman.
I don't know how to
Mr.
cook.
Grundy, I think you should take half the prize money. After all, Solitaire was your horse.
Oh, I couldn't do that, ma'am.
Why not be partners in the restaurant?
Oh, now, Billy.
That's a fine idea. There'll be more work than I'm able to handle, and Billy has to be in
That-
school.
I'd
Her voice
sure
is very
like a
familiar.
job in town, where I'd be near Solitaire.
Then it's settled. We'll call our place the War Horse Cafe.
That's a good name.
And done.
And I'm thinking we'll never forget the man who made it possible.
The
best
Masked
friend any of us
Wonder.
will ever have. The Lone
Tonto.
Ranger.
I mean, the Lone Ranger. The Lone Ranger does it again. Just when you need him most. Right, Billy? Right. Yikes. Yeah. I gotta admit, I'm kind of digging on these just because of the silliness of them all. But I have to ask, is that do you think that would be legal if they could, these two all of a sudden get out on the track and start running with this horse? No, I'd be like, get the hell out of here. This horse is on his own with the trumpet and the bugle and whatever else. But hey, it's just a story. We got to make the Lone Ranger look good. Where was Tonto during all this? Me take horses, Kimosabi, and go get them some hay and some water. And I'll be sitting over here doing nothing while you get all the credit. But I'll take care of the horses. Don't you worry. It'll be fine. We're still friends. All right. Okay, that was it. Oh, and by the way, I just wanted to mention, I thought the horse had early on thought he had broken his leg, and then the kids out there running around in some fields, getting them ready for the race. And I'm like, I've seen firsthand when a horse breaks its leg and then they have to put the horse down. One of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. I won't share the gruesome details, but it was horrible. The vet came and put this horse down. Woof. It was awful. It was the most horrible thing I've ever seen. I cried. I'll be honest. I did. It was a nice horse. We're not sure how it broke its leg, but you don't repair a broken leg on a horse. You just don't. So, but that was quite a few years ago, maybe about 15 or 20 years ago when that happened. All right, so anyway, on a lighter note, the horse is getting put down. We'll leave you with that. All right, folks. There's more where this came from. Be warned. Later.